Let's look at the Week 7 waiver wire. We'll start off with Sam Darnold, who's had 2 straight solid games. He scored almost 28 points against the Bucs in Week 5 and 20 points last week against Jacksonville. And he scored 16 plus points in 4 straight games overall, so his floor is pretty good. I don't love the matchup this week, but Darnold still should be owned in fantasy leagues. Another quarterback is Jaxson Dart, and I was surprised he wasn't owned in more leagues. He scored 19 plus points in 2 of his first 3 NFL starts, including almost 24 last week against the Eagles. And he's also rushed for at least 54 yards in every game. Like, that's huge. I don't love his matchup this week, but Jaxson Dart still needs to be owned in more fantasy leagues. And another quarterback who's played well is Trevor Lawrence. He had a good stat line last week, 258 yards, 2 touchdowns against Seattle. He's had 19 plus points in 2 straight games and 3 of his last 5 overall. And he's becoming a matchup-based starter in fantasy, so he is a player to pick up if you need help with the quarterback position. Moving on to running back and Kamani Videll. Now, despite numerous reports last week, it was not Haskins that started. It was Kimani Vidal, and he had a very good game against the Dolphins. 124 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, almost 23 fantasy points, and he's still out there in a lot of leagues. Why? Because Haskins was considered the ad. That was not the case. It's Kamani Vidal. Go out and get him. In Arizona, I guess we can't have nice things in fantasy football. We all thought it was going to be Michael Carter who was going to be the guy. He had 23 touches and almost 18 fantasy points in the previous week. And this week, Carter got the start, but Bam Knight played more snaps and saw more touches and had a touchdown. So this Cardinals backfield is likely to be very confusing, but Bam Knight needs to be owned right alongside Michael Carter. Moving on to the wide receivers, and Kendrick Bourne. I mean, he's gone all Jerry Rice on us in the last couple of weeks. Last week against the Bucs, 5 catches, 142 yards. He saw a team-high 9 targets from Mac Jones, and the Niners are all banged up. So until Ricky Pearsall is back, and maybe George Kittle comes back this week, and Juwan Jennings is playing with 5 broken ribs, all of a sudden, Kendrick Bourne is a guy that could be startable and has been startable in fantasy over the last couple of weeks. Moving on to a couple of tight ends, and Fannin Jr. He had a huge game last week, 10 targets, 7 catches, 81 yards. And Dylan Gabriel, the new starting quarterback for the Browns, he loves to target his tight ends. And remember, David Njoku got banged up in that game last week, and there's a chance maybe Njoku gets traded before the deadline. So Fannin is a very good pickup, and so is Michael Mayer. He had a breakout game last week. Remember, no Brock Bowers, 5 catches, 50 yards, a touchdown, and he also saw a team-high 7 targets. So Geno Smith definitely has a good rapport with Michael Mayer. And until Brock Bowers comes back, Mayer has the potential to be a fantasy starter in most leagues.